Hey guys, so it's the end of summer, which means it's the end of summer convention season. Small Press Expo was the last convention of the summer for me, and it's always my favorite show. No matter what kind of year I'm having, I go to Small Press Expo, and it really re-energizes my faith in comics, and it makes me want to do more stuff. It makes me want to draw more, makes me want to create more, makes me want to work on more books and put more stuff out there. SPX is wonderful. If you've never had a chance to go, and you only have one show to go to a year, save up your money and go to Small Press Expo. Like, you've seen Marvel stuff, you've seen DC stuff, you've seen Image stuff, but this is some of the best work that's out there. And you might not have heard of it because some of these guys don't really know how to website, but they do amazing work. So get your ass out to Small Press Expo if you're tired of seeing the same old bullshit from Marvel and DC, If you want more diversity in your comics, Small Press Expo is the place to go. So clearly, it is my favorite show of the year. And now that it's over and the summer is over and my convention season for 2014 is over, we're kind of in this very sad middle place right now. The warm afterglow is kind of worn off. So it's the perfect time to vlog about stuff. So I had two extremely different convention experiences back to back, and these were the only two conventions I was able to hit this year. Baltimore Comic Con was the weekend before Small Press Expo, and it was vastly different experiences. And then, no matter how many years you do this, you're always learning something new, and it made me really think about ways to approach conventions next year, which is funny coincidence because there's this blog post going around my circle of friends and peers in the cartooning industry from, let me see if I get this right, I'm gonna look this up, by Denise Dorman, who is the wife of Dave Dorman, and she runs a blog called Comic Book Wife, and I'm gonna link to her post in the show notes so you can read all this yourself. But here is the clickbaity title of her post: "The Hidden Truth About Comic Convention Earnings. For creators, have comic book conventions jumped the shark?" And in it, she goes to describe her experience with her husband going to some of these shows where they normally do pretty well. And lately, they've seen their earnings go down to the point where it's almost not worth it for them to go to a show. Like, they could be making more money sitting at home in the studio creating new work instead of busting their ass getting travel arranged and going to a show, sitting down and not really selling anything. One of the things she points to in her piece is that a lot of the nature of shows is definitely changed. And instead of people going to see creators who've built this industry, now a lot of people are going in cosplay and becoming the focus themselves. So the audience, the audience now becomes the star, like the hunter becomes the hunted or some shit like that. I don't know. So now attendees are get to be the star. They get to dress up in awesome costumes and have a lot of people check them out, and it's drawing attention away from the creators. At least that's the gist of the post that I got. I want you to read it for yourself so you can pull out what you think. But that's one of the main arguments that I got from her post. Now, I agree with a lot of what she has to say. Certainly the nature of shows has changed. Every show is different. There does seem to be more of a focus on cosplay and just pop culture in general. Like, you go to a San Diego and it's filled with movie stars, when like 10 years ago it was not so many movie stars. It was a lot of comics. So I do think, some of these shows have definitely changed focus, and it's a little bit more difficult for creators, traditional comic book creators, to get their stuff out there. But my feeling in all of this is that if you're having a bad show, and maybe this is a little unfair of me to say, but like, if you're having a bad show, it's on you. Like, if you're a creator and you feel like you're having a bad show and you project that you're having a bad show, you're gonna have a bad fucking show. So like, I've done small conventions, I've done big conventions, and there are things that you can do as a creator to ensure that if you don't make money, at least you're gonna have a good show, a decent show. It's gonna be worth your while. And then when you get your receipts back and you you tally up the expenses versus what you brought in, maybe then you can decide. But there are things that you can do to ensure, at least in my opinion, that you can have a better show than what you expect. And there are 3 things on my list because, of course, I have a list and I like to keep my list short because I can't remember them, because I don't write notes when I vlog, because I don't plan ahead. So there are 3 things, in my opinion, that you can do to ensure that you have a good show. Number 1, know your audience. Number 2, make sure your table layout is attractive and maximizes the focus and gets people to go and buy your stuff. And number 3, project an outward appearance of positivity and awesomeness. So I'm going to go back through these. Number 1, know your audience. Now, having Baltimore and SPX right back to back, it was a great great example of knowing your audience, and kind of tailoring what you're offering to the people that are going to the show. So Baltimore Comic Con is a traditional comic book convention. They invite a lot of comic book creators who are local or sometimes other states away, or sometimes even internationally. They invite them to come. They come to sit, to sign, meet guests, meet people who come to the show. Sometimes they run panels. I think I've never been to a panel at Baltimore. I've always been working a table. In the dealer room, they have a lot of back issue vendors. So they have like long boxes of back issues. There's the t-shirt guy with the big t-shirt tower thing. A lot of toys. Some of the comic book vendors are selling CGC graded comic books, which is another fucking thing that I'll yell about some other time, but I don't have time right now. But basically, the stars of this show are Marvel, DC, some of the more popular Image titles, and things from like Boom Studios and things like that. So just going around, walking around the Artist Alley, you can see a lot of fan art of popular characters from Marvel and DC and all that kind of stuff, and the cutesy mashup shirts and all that kind of shit. So if you are going to tackle a convention like Baltimore Comic Con, it behooves you as a creator to bring something that is familiar to the general public. So this show attracts a lot of families. There are a lot of kids walking around, a lot of parents, a lot of clans running around. Some of them have awesome coordinated cosplay, which is amazing, and it's a great thing for us creators to see because it kind of breaks up seeing the same kind of people walking by. If you see a family as like a really cool cosplay, that's great. Brightens up your day. But in general, a lot of these people are looking for mainstream stuff. They're looking for DC and Marvel. They're looking for Guardians of the Galaxy things. They're looking for Loki stuff. They're looking for Avengers stuff. They're looking for Iron Man stuff. When the Superman v Batman v all the rest of the fuckers come out, people are probably going to be looking for DC stuff. So there's going to be an uptick in that. So if you are going to Baltimore Con, and if you want to make a lot of money, and if you want to have a good show sales-wise, bring some fan art. Just fucking bite the bullet and bring some fan art. I never do fan art. I do fan art for myself and I post it online, but I rarely sell fan art. I feel awkward about doing it. I don't feel like, if I haven't worked on a book, I don't feel like drawing their characters. I don't feel right about doing it. And so my sales suffered greatly for it. I barely sold any of my own books. I sold one of volume 1 and I sold like 2 of volume 1 and 1 of volume 2. It was really pathetic. Like, if the only thing I brought with me was my own work, my own books, it would have been terrible. It would have been a really shitty con. I did this thing called the 47 Bronin, which is sort of my bro-y take of the Japanese classic legend of the Chushingura, the 47 Ronin. And so that actually sold really well. If I didn't bring those with me, I would have had a really terrible time. I would not have made back my table cost, which, is pretty significant. So I had something that was fan servicey, or at least familiar, and familiar enough to the general public because the movie had come out late last year. So people already understood what the 47 Ronin was, and to see 47 Bronin, there's that hook. Next year, I don't know. I'm going to have to bite the bullet and do some fan art. So I'm working on a little sketchbook of fan art with a little twist that I think I can tolerate. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, a lot of people there have figured this out before, that fan art sells, that, you know, Marvel and DC character sells. I was sitting right across from some really awful pinup stuff. Like, oh, it was just so terrible. But if you want to do well at that show, it probably makes sense to bring some pin arty stuff. That's what they want. They want, you know, and for the kids, they want to see things that they recognize. Like if I had like cute little Groot toys or something like that, Baby Groots. Baby Groots went really well this year. So, you know, aim for, know the show that you're going to. Small Press Expo, completely different story. Nobody going to Small Press Expo gives a shit about Marvel or DC. They're interested in finding new stuff. They're interested in finding indie stuff. They're interested in meeting us as creators and talking with us and getting to know what our projects are about and what, you know, motivates us in there. You know, and you've got just as many creators walking around as you do as attendees, and just money's flying all over the place. So remember, if you go to Small Press Expo, keep your money locked down. Don't let it out, because you'll find something that you never thought you wanted to see. Like, I don't know, if you want to see a comic about a teenage kid who turns into a boat, there's a comic called Teen Boat. And it's something that I never knew I wanted, but last year I lost my shit and I found this, and I was like, oh my god, this is something I never knew I wanted, and I had to get it. And I wasn't even looking to buy stuff. I was just looking to set up. So yeah, Small Press Expo is perfect for indie creators if you're just trying to get your stuff out there, if you're trying to get in front of a new audience. A lot of these alternate smaller press shows are out there. I think there's Ape in California. There's Micah, I think, in New York. There's TCAF in Toronto, which I can never fucking get into. But yeah, TCAF is good for indie cartoonists. I think Stumptown Stumptown is pretty good. So like if you're not interested in doing fan art, if you can't stand the thought of drawing tits hanging out in spandex and just really lame superhero stuff, try one of these Small Press Expos, or try one of these alternative smaller shows, because, you know, I did better than I've ever done before at any other convention at Small Press Expo this year, and it's because I maximized all the personal stuff that I brought with me, all of my stuff. It was all my stuff. None of it was fan arty. None of it was, and that's perfect for that show. So know your audience. Know the show you're going to. If you're going to a sci-fi convention, you probably don't want to. Well, I mean, you know, you could probably do like historical Victorian fan art, because that would actually probably go over really well at a sci-fi convention or something like that. But like, if you're going to the Ren Fair, don't do a whole bunch of Gundam giant robots, because no one going to a Ren Fair is going to give a shit about how awesome Mobile Suit Gundam is. I will. And if you have Mobile Suit fan art at the Ren Fair, I will buy them from you. But I rarely go to the Ren Fair, so, and I'm the only person who's going to buy stuff from you. So don't do that. Figure out the show, and it might help to go to the show before you actually apply as a vendor. So, you know, if there's a show you have your eye on, check it out, get a lay of the land, see what people are buying, see whose tables have a lot of people waiting for them, and, you know, check out the creators. Just get a lay of the land before you jump right into it, because typically it costs much less to attend a show than it does to exhibit at a show. So oh, and this is consequently why I don't do anime shows anymore. Like, the anime fandom is very fickle, year after year after year. Depends on what they're looking for. So and I don't watch enough anime to really build up a backlog of anime fan art. I guess if I do a lot of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai stuff, there is an audience for that at an anime show, much more so than probably a comic book show. But I mean, that's no guarantee. And I have other stuff that I want to do. Like, I might do Kadzukon next year, but I'm not sure. I might do it because Super Rock Fight does it, so we'll see. I haven't decided yet. So yes, Step number one, know your audience. Know your audience. Do some research. And it sucks to have to say this, to do some research about a show, because all you want to do is tell your stories and draw your comics and stuff. But if you want to, you know, maximize your experience, you got to learn your show. All right, 2, table layout. Have an attractive table layout. Now there are experts who do this for a living. There are people who design storefronts and design shelves and design things for people to go and buy stuff. So I am not an expert at this. I know what works for me. I don't know necessarily what works for you. But generally, you want to, the higher things are towards eye level, the better. So typically your table, all right, let me see if I can stand up here. So typically tables come to about here when you're sitting down. And you're always looking down. So if you can do anything to raise up your merchandise, like if you have books, you know, put a stack of books, stack your books like this, and then have a stand and have your book facing like that. So it gets higher, closer to eye level for people to see. So if it's books, try to do that. If you have posters, you can try to build a stand and have the poster like right at eye level. Because it makes it easier for people to find stuff. Like if you just put out your sketchbook on, whoop, if you knock over the microphone in the middle of your thing. So if you just put out your sketchbook on the table and you just sit there, you can't do that anymore. Like back when I was doing conventions, like early 2000, and you know, it was $20 to get a table at Otakon, you could get away with that. But these days, you know, people have a lot of other things to distract them. So you want to get in front of their faces as much as you can. Sometimes it helps to have a banner behind you, and that costs a lot of money. And, you know, and you always have to figure out, well, what do I want to put on my banner? Do I put the name of my comic on the banner? Do I want to put me on the banner? What art do I put on my banner? Because every year your art's supposed to get better. So like if I have one stagnant thing, you know, is it going to really represent my stuff? So there's a lot that goes into your table display. And this could be an entire other video. You know, we can go to a convention and I can, you know, take a camera around and take a look at some of the displays and stuff like that. But a good rule of thumb is get things at eye level or close to eye level as possible. And along with that, try standing up at a show. It sucks, especially if it's concrete and it's a convention center and it's a long day. You don't have to stand the entire time. But if there are a lot of people coming by, you know, get off your ass, stand up, say hi to people, smile, wave. Because if you're at their eye level, they'll be more inclined to just talk to you, and then you can direct their attention to your wares around you. But get stuff high. That's just rule number one. That's why you see a lot of these people creating all these weird sort of like PVC pipe things with prints hanging down off of them. Makes it easier for people to see. They don't have to work to find your stuff. Now, along with that, part of your attractive table display is you. You're part of your display. So if you're doing your show and you're doing this, and you're fucking around on your phone, no one's gonna fucking give a shit. They're gonna pass you by because they don't want to interrupt whoever you're fucking texting or twittering at, and you're not gonna make any sales because you're staring at your fucking phone. The only reason your phone should be out is if you're looking for reference for a sketch commission that you've just gotten, or you're using Square to make a sale. Other than that, put this shit down. All right, maybe your wife is pregnant and they need to call you and you have to leave. But then you shouldn't be doing a show anyway. So keep this fucking thing out of sight unless you're using it for reference or making a sale. This doesn't help you make any money at a convention. Put that shit away. By that same token, if you're sitting on your ass and you're playing your Game Boy, no one's gonna give a fucking shit about your stuff. Put your Game Boy away. Put your DS away, put your phone away, look up, smile at the people. If you want to make some money, talk to them. Talk to somebody, you know? Sometimes you'll see a person just kind of like wandering in the middle of the aisle and slowly look at your stuff. If you say, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Are you having a good show? they're more inclined to come over and have a conversation with you. And if they have a conversation with you, they're more inclined to buy a thing from you because they've made this short connection with you and they're like, I like this person. This person seems like a good person. I want to support their work. What can I buy? Just keep all this fucking shit away. I hate that. Clearly it's one of my pet peeves. But that all goes into this table display. Like, all right, so you can't afford anything. Say you only have your sketchbook and you put it out in front of you. All right, if you're looking up and you're standing and you're talking to people, that's still better than having the best table display ever and sitting on your phone like this. Fucking shit. Keep your phone in your fucking pocket. God, I hate that. I want to punch people in the face when they do that at a show. I'm like, you're here. You paid for a table. You can play DS at home. You can Twitter whenever the fuck you want. This is the only time you had to interact with some of these people. So interact with them. Please, for God. All right, I'm going to stop. All right, so know your show. Good table display. Number 3, project an outward positive opinion. So if you're having a shitty show, if you're having a terrible time, if you're not doing well, if things are just going south, smile. Fake it until you make it, right? You know, the people coming to the show, they don't want to hear that you're having a shit show. The people coming into the show, they want to hear that you're glad to be there, that you're glad they're having a good time, that you're excited to be around these like-minded creators, that you love the industry, all that stuff. They're there to you know, they're more inclined to come up to you if you're smiling and you're happy than if you're frowning and like you just ate shit all day. Like if you look like you've eaten shit, no one's going to talk to you. No one's going to come up to you and you're not going to make any sales. So even if you're having a bad show, project that you're having a good show, you know, smile at the people, make sure that you bury conceal, don't feel. Just, you know, save your shit thoughts for after the show when you're out with your friends and you're at the bar and you're drinking. But when it's showtime, it's go time. And when it's go time, you're smiling, you're happy. And one thing that you can do to prevent yourself from getting in the dumps is don't count your money while you're sitting at the table. So don't count the sales that you've made. Don't count your inventory. Don't see that you still have this stack of books behind you. Just worry about that shit when the show is over, or worry about that shit when you're going for a lunch break or something like that. But don't worry about the minute. Certainly keep track of your sales, because you need to keep track of what you're selling and what you're not. But don't tally that up until the end of the show. You know, that might help you portray a more positive attitude about it. You know, don't go in there and shit in the pool and make things all sour. Just be happy. Remember to breathe. Sometimes it can get really easy to get in your head when you're sitting at the table and there's not a lot going on, and you know the lights are bright and it's noisy and stuff like that. So it's really easy to just kind of internalize things and get really worked up about, you know, oh my God, I can't believe, you know, there's not a lot of foot traffic. I can't believe I'm here. I could be sitting at home watching Doctor Who or some shit like that. You just push those thoughts out. Breathe. Remember to breathe. That's why standing up can help sometimes too, because you know you can stretch out and get up. But get out of your head, get out of your bad mood, just work it off, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. You can have a bad mood after the show, you can have a bad mood loading into the show, but during the show, try your best to at least project a positive attitude. So, to wrap up, we got know your show, good table layout, which is something that we can talk about in depth, and me not yelling at you about putting your fucking phone away. And number 3, project a positive attitude. Now, it's still possible to do all 3 of these things and have a shit show. You know, it's possible. But, you know, that's okay. At least you tried. At least you did all that you could do. And you're not blaming somebody else for your crappy show. Never blame someone else for your crappy show. You know, do the best that you can with your stuff. Like, okay, so the promoter didn't get airtime on the radio, okay? Or, you know, ticket prices are way crazy, or the hours are insane. But like, that's shit that you can't control. That's stuff that is out of your sphere of influence. Just worry about your stuff. And if you know that you did the best that you could at this show and it was still shitty, at least you can go out there and hold your head up with pride. And at least you know that next year maybe you cut that show off your list. So, don't blame the cosplayers. The cosplayers are just excited that they get to wear a costume and it's not Halloween. That's fucking awesome. Who doesn't love to wear an awesome costume? So don't blame other people. Just, focus on your stuff. Focus on the things that you can affect. Focus on the things that you have control over. And you might find that you have better convention experiences in the future because, you did all these awesome things. You got to meet a lot of people. You got to talk to a lot of people. And it was awesome. All right, so I'm going to stop now before I get on another cell phone rant or I knock over the microphone. And yeah, I'll check you later. Bye.